And there you see the scowl, the look on James Toney that has been evident all week. They tried to patch things up on Wednesday after Toney threatened to kill Michael Nunn's bones, to quote him correctly, and then they had another flare-up at the weigh-in last night, and James lights out Toney, 25-0-1. He's yet to taste defeat. He's the 5th-ranked contender. Michael Nunn says he's going to punch his lights out. Well, this is a big night for Michael Nunn. He's had dreams of this coming out before his home fans for a championship for quite some time, and I think he's got to have some goosebumps right now. It's a happening. And when he gets into the ring, this place is going to explode.
Donald Curry, his last fight. It was a tough fight for Nunn for the first 5 rounds. Curry was in that fight. Should hear a big sound of applause now. Yep.
There it is. There's that look of confidence we've seen on Michael Nunn's face many times. Why not? He's 36-0. Yet to be beaten, yet really to be hurt in the ring. I think a cut he got against Roldan might be the only time he was really...
Well, not necessarily. In his 14th professional fight, he got hit with the Major League left hook by Carl Jones over at Caesar's Palace.
There you see the height relatively even. The weight, Nunn right at the max, 160, which he likes to do. Nunn a bit older by 6 years. The reach, he has 2 inches there. And there's the average punches thrown per fight. Nunn's got that lightning quick left jab. Toney doesn't throw as many, but makes a little better use of them. His percentage quite a bit higher. There you see the jabs.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, Toney's right in front of the fighters at all times. So it certainly makes it much easier for you to make contact, as this total jab shows there. The IBF rules we're going to be going by. There's a 10-point must system, which means that the winner of the round must get 10 points. No standing 8 count, unlike New Jersey, where if the referee wants to decide that. So here you can't have the standing 8 count. Referee stops it after a punch, fights over.
And the undisputed
all right, Michael Buffer, take it.
Weiser present the featured bout of the evening in association with the Riverboat President Casino, the Quad Cities. This bout is approved by the Iowa State Athletic Commission. It is sanctioned by the International Boxing Federation. President and supervisor at ringside is Robert W. Lee. The 3 judges scoring this bout on a 10-point must system are Gary Murd of Indiana, Robert Watson of Michigan, and Dalby Shirley of Nevada. The man in charge of this bout in the ring at this time is the referee, Denny Nelson from Minnesota. And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the Quad Cities of Moline and Rock Island, Illinois, Bettendorf and Davenport, Iowa, on the Mississippi River, let's get ready to rumble! 12 rounds for the IBF Middleweight Championship of the World. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the black trunks and weighing in at an even 157 pounds, he's from Ann Arbor, Michigan. Undefeated as a professional with 25 victories and 1 draw, 18 KOs. Ladies and gentlemen, the undefeated challenger, James Lights Out Toney! And his opponent, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the white trunks with red letters, he weighs an even 160 pounds. His professional record, undefeated, 36-0, 24 KOs. Tonight, he defends his title for the 7th time here in his hometown of Davenport, Iowa. Ladies and gentlemen, the IBF middleweight champion of the world, Michael, second to
Michael's got his game face on there, jaw to jaw.
I'll tell you though, Tom, this Toney does look ready. We're going to find out how intimidated he is with this crowd and with fighting for the world title right now.
He's been the villain all week. I think he kind of likes this role. You know, well, some guys like to wear the black hats into town and take on the hero.
We're going to find out. The first 2 rounds are very, very important right here for Toney. We're going to find out exactly what's going to happen now in this fight.
All right. Obviously, you know by now, Michael Nunn in the white trunks. Toney in the black, round one. Here we go. This could be a beauty. We'll see if Toney takes it to Nunn right off the bat. He wants to cut off the ring and not let, as he say, Nunn get on his bicycle. Wild left by Toney. Does not land. Michael Nunn.
Look at the concentration on Toney. I like it right off the bat. He's going in there. He knows what he's got to do, and certainly right now, physically and mentally, he looks like he's ready.
Toney going to it. Couple of combination there. Nunn, the ever elusive, ducks. Nunn is just always a moving target. Very hard to get a punch on him, Dan. Very quick.
Well, as ready as Toney seems to be, the question still is he good enough to beat a Michael Nunn? Nunn's a very, very good fighter. Probably the best middleweight out there today.
Nunn fought his way out of the streets of Davenport. Some wild lefts by each fighter, neither one landing. There's Toney with a couple of body blows. Michael Nunn trying to pick his spot. Toney's come out firing, no doubt about it. Good body blow by Toney. Catches Nunn in the midsection. Nunn made his mark fighting his way out of it, literally fighting his way out of the streets of Davenport. He was in trouble a lot as a kid. And has made himself a champion. Good shot by Nunn. Right back by Toney. Toney answers that with a good left and a good right.
And Nunn posed after he hit Toney with that good shot. He posed, looked at his work, didn't think Toney was going to come back. Toney came back with 2 shots.
I don't think you can pose too long against James Toney, at least not early on. Two unbeaten fighters here. Toney at 25-0-1, not 36-0. Right by Toney. He has none against the ropes. Delivered a couple of punches.
To me, I think the key rounds for Toney are the early ones because if I feel he's going to be the better of the two fighters towards the end of the fight.
The official is Denny Nelson, who worked Nunn's last fight in France. Toney throwing a lot of power, but Nunn keeps backing away. Nunn always bobbing and weaving. Tough to get a good shot at him, and Nunn got one in there.
No, Toney was off balance. Got hit with a little shot in the chest, but he was just off balance there. He's got a good chin, Tom.
Crowd is into this fight. You can see him on the edge of their seats. Good body blows here by both fighters. As we end to the 32nd mark of round one. And plenty of action so far, Dan Goosen.
This is the type of fighter Toney is. As you can see, he's very elusive. He's very similar to Nunn in that way. He's very good side to side. It's hard to be accurate with your punches against him. That could end up frustrating Michael if the fight goes on much longer.
Nunn doing some dancing, and Toney with a smile on his face, actually kind of smiling that night, saying, all right, show me your best shot. We're nearing 10 seconds of round one. Toney coming out. Toney looks very strong here early on, and I think Michael Nunn knows he's got himself a handful of it. There's the end of round one.
It's a good even round for both fighters, yes. Really, which, right now with Toney getting to be on even terms with Nunn, that's certainly in Toney's favor. Nunn's been the type of fighter for the years. Let's listen to Angelo. I'll get back to that second.
Don't lay in close. Use your jab. Use your jab. Move over, okay? See, the guy buddied you already, so I don't want you laying in there. Okay? Don't go for the...
He didn't give you that much body shot, but to the body and to the head. But keep the left hand up. Get a little busier. Be first. Be busy. Keep backing him up.
Good advice by Bill Miller to stay busy.
He's been busy.
And Angelo was correct with Nunn. He's got to use that jab, keep Toney off of him.
I'm sure Toney would like to get Nunn into a slugfest early on.
I want to get back to my point that I was making at the end of the round, that one of the things that Toney accomplished here, where most opponents haven't before, is that Nunn's been very good controlling opponents. For the 35 fights that we were together, I don't remember a round where he didn't really control it. Even when he got knocked down in his 14th professional fight against Carl Jones, he came right back and won the round every other way.
All right, Nunn with a little smile on his face now as he's keeping that jab. Nunn a left-hander. Toney has fought 5 left-handers before and beaten them all. Nunn's got Toney backed up a little bit, and the crowd gets into it. Of course, the crowd's going to roar on anything Nunn does. Fighters exchanging some body blows now. Nunn seems to have come out with a little more intensity here in round 2.
Well, he better, because this is the type of fight that's going to give him problems. You can see right now that Toney knows how to stay away from Nunn's power, make him miss.
Nunn got a left in there as Toney was just kind of posing on him. Well, the stats, I think, only show like a 1-inch height advantage, 2-inch reach, but as we've seen, those stats are a little padded. I think Nunn's probably got good 2-3 inches on him and maybe 3 inches of reach.
It's funny, Tom. When I saw Toney at our gym, he looked so much smaller than our kid Frank Lyles. And then, I didn't think he would match up to Nunn like he did at the weigh-in, but they were very close in weight at the weigh-in. But right now in the ring, Nunn does look the bigger of the two men. But Nunn's always seemed to be that type of fighter. The only time I remember seeing Nunn where he looked like he was even with any opponent was Iron Barkley in size.
And of course, when you have those weigh-ins the night before, as Nunn lands a few jabs, they have a chance to eat all day, and they gain a lot of weight back quickly. And now, a lot of boxing experts say Nunn's really a light heavy right now.
Yeah. Keep in mind, Nunn's a big middleweight regardless.
Toney lands a pretty good left there. You can see the sweat and perspiration fly off Nunn's chin as James Toney going toe-to-toe with the champion Michael Nunn here. The IBF World Middleweight title at stake.
Toney better do more than this, though. I mean, he's showing Nunn that he's a good defensive fighter, but he's got to throw punches at Nunn. It's the only way you beat the champion.
Nunn seems intent to go after the head. He hasn't landed too many body blows on Toney. And just as I say that, he does appear. There's a good wrap to the chin by Nunn as they near the 22nd mark of round 2. Well, the leather flew a little bit in round 1. Now round 2 is the pace is slow just a little bit. Michael Nunn takes a wild left himself open. Toney recovers, tries an uppercut, it won't land.
Hard to get a clean shot in on Toney right now. He's going to have to go to that body. Real low blow right there by Nunn.
At the end of the bell, and the official, Denny Nelson. The bell, not a real loud bell here, so some pretty good action after the bell, and the crowd loved every second of it.
Use your legs, use your speed. See, when you get behind them, like for them to get up there
Angelo,
now.
take it away.
I want speed. Give it to me. Open wide. Okay, spit it out. Okay, Michael? I want your speed. You want to show this guy your speed yet? Come on. In, outside the side. Go to your right, okay? Comes up looking, nail him, okay?
Davenport, baby, Davenport.
Well, that punch, Dad, is indicative of Toney's last round. He didn't throw any punches there. Clearly, Nunn's got the advantage in the second round.
Angelo Dundee wants Nunn to use that speed, as you heard. And of course, Dundee's seen his share of champions.
Well, the only thing, though, is that Toney's not a slow fighter out there. I mean, he's quick in his own right. He's quick with his feet and his shoulders where he can duck away from Nunn's punches very quickly. You saw that the last round where he put on a defensive clinic.
Good jab by Nunn. The right hand got in. There's another one. And another one. Michael jab.
We've got two excellent defensive fighters in there. Right now, Nunn's the more effective offensive fighter.
And they're slugging it out in the center of the ring. We haven't seen Michael use the speed that Angelo Dundee told him to after round 2. He's preferring right now to slug it out with Toney.
But
there's a pretty good right by Toney. If that would have landed, that would have hurt. Toney seems to go maybe a little more to the body than Nunn is right now, Dan.
Good right by Toney there. Good combination.
They're slugging it out, these two are. Nope.
This is exactly the type of fight Toney wants. Right there in the center of the ring, having Nunn exchanging with him. Right now with Toney being inside of Nunn, I think Toney's got the advantage there. Another good right off there.
Sometimes when animosity builds up in Michael Nunn's career, he's chose to do that.
The animosity's gone right now. No one's thinking about that. They're not thinking about the weigh-in. They're thinking about this fight right now.
Body blow by Nunn. Crowd chanting Michael behind us now.
Nunn's got no body into those punches. He's just winging them from the hip.
All arms.
You can see he's not stepping into anything.
Whereas Toney seems to have those feet planted when he throws his blows.
Exactly.
Uppercut by Toney. glances off Nunn's chin.
In baseball terms, Nunn's getting infield singles. And right there, you can just see Mike's not planting his feet.
We're inside a minute in round 3, and this has been a very entertaining fight, no doubt about it. And some concern. That staggered Nunn just a touch. Hit him on the top of the head.
Got caught more on his heels, Tom.
Nunn with a couple of big lefts. Crowd getting into it there. They are throwing some punches.
Much more aggressive round for Toney. If he keeps this up the whole fight, it could be a whole different game.
Just a beautiful night here, cool by the river, and even the glare of the lights seems very comfortable here. I don't think either fighter will be bothered by the warmth.
Well, I know that I read in the papers today that underneath the ring lights that it would be stifling here for the fighters, but really it's had no effect on anyone. I'm sitting here with the full coat on. I'm certainly not working up a sweat.
We're ending the end of a very, very, very anxious and exciting round 3. There you see the big crowd on in here at John O'Donnell, giving their fighter all the support he can. But right now, Michael Nunn's got to do it for himself, and he's getting all he wants from James Toney.
You hear me? Look here. Quit trying to knock this guy out with one punch and put some punches together. You don't have to go for the home run punch every punch, but get busier with them hands. We just spotted this guy the last 2 rounds.
There we see the advice of Bill Miller, and each fighter, I think, is trying to end this early. They got KO on their mind.
See, I mean, this with this exchange right here, Toney's doing well. He's just not doing enough right now. He's in the fight with Nunn. Nunn knows that he's not in there with a pushover. But right now, if Toney wants to win this fight, he's got to put more pressure and more punches on Nunn. As the CompuBox would indicate right here, Nunn has landed double the amount of punches.
And he got 5 or 6 in a row in that slow-mo replay you just saw. Good round for Michael Nunn. Round 4, ready to go. Nunn in the white trunks, Toney in the black. Tom Cornelis and Dan Goosen with you here ringside in Davenport, Iowa. The Rumble on the Riverbank, and it's been everything it's advertised. Toney now trying to take some of the action to Nunn. Kind of caught him with an elbow there.
Good jab by Toney. Stopped Nunn in his tracks.
Michael Nunn's a tough kid, no doubt about it. He likes to fight. He's got that mean streak in him. Wild left by Nunn, didn't land. Toney ducked under that one. Nunn trying to follow it up. You could feel the force of those blows.
I know the fans have been crying for Mike to get more flat-footed. He's got to stay busy, though. If he's going to be flat-footed, he's got to throw punches, because that's when he's susceptible to getting hit by counter-punches by Toney, like right there, except Toney missed. So Nunn, if he's going to stand flat-footed like he is right now and not move around, he better stay busy.
Of course, we heard that was the advice of Toney's handlers as well. Stay busy. They're trying to knock him out with one punch. Toney seems to have lost maybe just a little bit of his aggressiveness. But of course, Michael Nunn's had a lot to say about that as we're halfway through round 4. Pretty tough, pretty close fight so far.
You know, I've been talking about how slippery Toney is, but Nunn can frustrate you also. I mean, this man is a great defensive fighter. Doesn't keep his hands up like the normal great defensive fighter does, but he does know how to use those shoulders to block punches, Tom.
He never really has taken too many shots in his career because he's just so darn hard to hit.
So, I mean, right there, he's just moving his feet, using his head to avoid punches. Very few fighters can do that.
Nunn with a big left, it missed. Had something on that, though. Toney going toe-to-toe with Nunn. He has cut off the ring. Nunn has not done any of his bicycling, backpedaling. He's chose to slug it out here with Toney.
That's not necessarily good, because this is the type of fight Toney needs.
Nunn with a couple of jabs there, body blow. Toney trying to act like it's not hurting him. That could prove costly. 30 seconds to go in round 4. Nunn with a couple of rat-a-tat-tat jabs there.
I've always felt when fighters act like they're not hurt by punches that they some way are affected by it.
Pretty good right by Toney. Got inside Nunn's left. There's an uppercut by Toney that just missed.
The best way to show a fighter that their punch didn't affect you, go right back and hit them. That's better than any smile could ever do.
Inside 10 seconds now in round 4. This has been a great fight so far. And there's the bell. Bell needs a little more zing on it too. It's hard to hear. Hard to hear that bell.
I'm anxious to hear what Bill Miller says now.
All right, let's tune into the corners.
We're keeping it too close. We got to start taking this fight over. Look here.
Beautiful skyline shot of the riverfront here in Davenport, Iowa, as we enter round 5. Michael Nunn getting some advice from Angelo Dundee.
Well, we did hear Bill Miller said you got to start taking this fight over to James Toney. That's true. I mean, Toney's just doing enough to be in the fight, but not doing enough to win it. And if he keeps on going at this pace, he may frustrate Nunn. He may go the distance with Nunn, but he's not going to beat Nunn. And here, you don't need a moral victory. You got to win.
There you see the Compu box, 134 thrown by Nunn. He lands 51 of them. He's virtually doubled the amount of punches thrown so far.
Well, that's normal Michael Nunn M.O.
We are underway here in round 5. Scheduled for 12. The IBF World.
Toney stepped on his foot, but that's a normal occurrence when a right-hander is facing a left-hander. Their feet always seem to, get crossed up.
And you can see their toes are pretty much on top of each other there. Nunn's starting to kind of do a little more dancing, bobbing and weaving, which is his style. Zing in and out, come in and land a few.
Well, Toney mentioned in the press conference a few days ago that Nunn was going to run like a deer, and he was going to be the deer hunter. Well, Here goes Nunn running. Let's see what Toney can do about it now.
Yep. Mr. Toney said he's going to set some deer traps for Mr. Nunn. We'll see if he sets any.
Well, this is the one thing I do like about the boxing business, Tom. After all the talking is said and done, we see who can stand behind it.
That's where it's done, in the ring, not in the lobbies or in the press rooms. Nunn trying to get Toney to chase him now. Gives him a little back of the hand there. Toney with a big right.
I've always told our fighters, the ones that talk and can't stand behind it, I tell them, don't say anything. I want to see the action. Forget the words. The ones that can talk and back it up, I let them run off at the mouth.
That's right. A couple of good jabs by Toney there. Got inside Nunn.
Yeah, but Toney's not putting any body into these punches either. Those are kind of like love taps. That's not going to do anything to Nunn. If he wants to get Nunn's respect, he better dig him in there.
There's a big uppercut by Toney that missed. Nunn's just kind of taking there, saying, well, let's see what you got.
Now, Nunn's sitting on those ropes, doing nothing, looking over to his corner to Angelo, shaking his head like everything's under control. I'd rather see him going out there throwing punches, countering Toney's punches.
Toney throwing a lot of punches now that aren't hitting. Nunn with a body shot. Hits him side of the head. Michael Nunn's got Toney reeling just a little bit now. Crowd picking up. Toney comes right back.
Nunn's only connected on one of those, Tom. Toney was moving away from all those punches. Only got hit with one real solid shot.
Now they tie up a little bit. 40 seconds left in round 5. The fans are getting everything they want so far. Big body shot by Nunn. Toney comes right back with a right jab. Left by Nunn reaches. Nearing the 20-second mark of round 5. Nunn again. Getting inside with a couple of jabs. They're not hard jabs, but they are getting in. Inside 10 seconds now. And we'll see if anybody throws any last second haymaker or not. And that is the end of round 5. James Toney and Michael Nunn giving the fans their money's worth here. Rumble on the riverbank. Let's go to the corner.
Move right. Okay, now come on. Give me the spun. Okay, now I want you moving.
This fight, we're giving it up in here.
I ain't giving shit up.
All right, show me then. Let's go out there and take over now. Hear me? Let's take over this fight now. Give him a little water. Let's make our move now. We need it now. It's time to turn the steam on now.
Good words of encouragement by Bill Miller in there to tell him to turn on the steam, but he's been saying that the last few rounds, and Toney really hasn't taken the advice to Nunn.
Think he's getting a little tired?
No, I don't think he's getting tired. I just think he's getting frustrated also trying to hit Nunn. He's a tough guy to fight out there. And right now, if Toney doesn't pick it up, the only way he's going to have lights out on Nunn if we have a power shortage here, because he's not going to knock out Nunn with these type of offensive assaults.
Nunn and Toney as we start round 6. Nunn very quick on his feet. Toney just kind of plodding after him.
Still wondering why he's got that Jewish star on his trunks.
We'll have to find that out later. I'm sure there's a message in there.
Just thought I'd throw that one in there, Tom, why we didn't have any action.
I see that. Wild left by Toney. Nunn ducks under it.
That's what Toney's got to do. He's got to let those punches fly. The only thing that happens, though, when he starts throwing from the outside like that, Nunn does have the advantage because of his height and reach, but those are the type of chances you've got to take as a challenger.
Yeah. And, of course, Michael Nunn was in Toney's shoes 3 years ago. He knows. Finally got a title shot you got to take advantage of. Nunn ducking under that right by Toney. Inside 2 minutes now in round 6. The IBF World Middleweight title on the line. Michael Nunn, 36-0. James Toney, only a tie among his 26 fights.
Tell you what, we just saw Nunn do when he was holding, Toney and Nunn were holding one another, and Nunn had his left hand free and he was throwing punches. I can remember for 5.5 years, my brother Joe always telling Nunn, when you're holding, make sure you have one hand free to throw punches. And he's very effective. Nunn just got away with it just there.
Toney with a wild left, doesn't land. It's a right in there on Nunn there. Had a little something on it. Nunn just keeps that head. That head's always moving. Nunn kind of looked over at the Toney corner and said, he's not hurting me. He's kind of looked over.
And I can see why with the way that Toney's throwing those punches. He doesn't have any power on him.
Pretty good left by Nunn. Toney backpedaling just a little bit. And Michael kind of has picked up the fight once again.
There goes Toney with a backhand punch. I haven't seen that for years.
There's Nunn and Toney.
Probably Toney's best round since the beginning of the fight, Tom.
Toney certainly more than holding his own in this bout.
But this is where Nunn's been notorious on stealing rounds towards the end of the rounds. But here he hasn't thrown anything in the last 10, 15 seconds.
All right, there it is. The end of round 6. We're halfway through. And what has been a very, very hotly contested fight so far. Michael Nunn and James Toney. Let's pick him up in the corner.
You want to get back into it? Okay, now's the time to make you move. All right? The guy showed you he can be hit, can't he? All right, so get back in it now. Let's put some punches together.
What I like, I want you to pop, move over. When the guy comes straight at you, nail him with that left hand. Okay? Give it. I give it. Give me the water. Open your mouth wide. That'll be. Watch it.
There you see Toney with more punches thrown in that round.
Okay.
But Nunn landed more of his.
Well, when you have stats like this with the CompuBox, they're very misleading at times with a fighter like Nunn, because Nunn's the type of guy that'll flick out a jab, and doing that in a 3-second time period, you could have 5-6 jabs with as quick as Nunn is.
All right, we are underway here.
The second half of the fight, Tom,
Round
right
7.
now. We're going to see what happens. I mentioned earlier in the fight that I felt Toney would be the stronger of the two. Right now, it's not happening. Nunn still looks the fresher of the two.
We'll see what all this stamina and training mean right now. Of course, willpower. Nunn and Toney are into the home stretch. Both boxers in the center of the ring now, just kind of feeling each other out. Toney tries to get in a body shot, parried by Nunn.
See, Nunn's doing exactly what Angelo wanted them to do this round, except Angelo told him to throw that left hand. And right now, Nunn's got to realize when he throws that jab out there to follow it up with the left hand. If he doesn't do that, Toney comes in with that right hand like that.
Toney with a good right, and Nunn backpedal just briefly. Toney shows he can certainly take a punch, no doubt about that.
Well, neither fighter have really been hit with what I would call a one-punch knockout shot yet.
No haymakers yet. Huh?
But I feel if either one of them were hit with a good shot, they'd both be able to take it. Nunn's got an excellent chin. And I've seen Toney get hit in his last 2 fights, and he's taking good shots.
Minute and a half gone in round 7.
Toney should forget about his pants coming down and throw some shots, because when he does that, Nunn's quick enough to come right back and throw a shot when he's got both hands pulling up his pants.
You don't want to get caught with your pants down? Is that what you're saying, Dan?
You will with Nunn throwing them at you.
Nearing the minute mark. Round 7. Both fighters have thrown some punches this round, but neither one's really landed. Been a pretty even round. They tie up in the corners just a little bit.
There's a good right hand.
When Toney throws that right, he seems to land it. You wonder why he doesn't throw it a little more.
Well, you know, sometimes Nunn keeps you in that position where he keeps you off balance, but if Nunn doesn't start throwing that left and Toney understands that that right's open every time, it could start being his big punch.
Body shot by Nunn as we near the 22nd mark of round 7. Big uppercut by Michael. He likes that one. That got Colombe. Little combination on the ropes. Now a little talking by Nunn. There's his end of the round theatrics. It'll steal him some points.
Well, Nunn learned this trick from his idol, Sugar Ray Leonard. Ray was one of the best at that. At the last 20 seconds of every round, he'd come out and steal the rounds. I used to hate it when Nunn used to do it while he was coming up with us, but he was so good of an athlete, he got away with it.
And they're a little nodding, a little gamesmanship at the end of that round, as we've seen all throughout the week. And, of course, later on at the press conference, they'll have their arms
around each other. That's the only way we're going to get back in this fight. We got to fight this guy. You hear me? We got the doggy. Smack him.
Okay, baby. Give me.
This has to be the Toney right hand.
Yeah.
Good right hand.
Head right around. Well, he caught that one pretty flush and shook it off. Now we see Nunn coming back near the end of the round. Here's where he had Toney against the ropes.
That's
a lot of punches, but really no damage.
That's vintage Michael Nunn, throwing 5, 6, 7 punches and talking while he's doing it.
A lot of action. We have a guy more worried about fashion if his shorts are dropping, and we got Nunn doing a little verbal jabs to go along with the others.
And Toney's listening to him. Well, Nunn tells him to stop, and Toney listens.
Nunn wanted to stop there and get something off the ring, and
fighters usually don't listen to referees. Since when do they listen to other fighters? I guess it's hometown courtesy.
Nunn trying to keep that right jab going so we could land the left, but Toney's done a pretty good job.
Was Nunn switching the right hand. He used to do that a lot in the gym back at home, but didn't utilize it too much in fights. I expect him to go right back to the southpaw stance. He usually does it for a little break.
Contact there by both fighters as they tie up. Nunn can go lefty-righty, but there's the right hand. Got the left hand back.
That's what Toney's got to do. When Nunn's throwing that jab out, he's got to counter with that right hand. It's been hitting Nunn every time he's thrown it.
Toney stalking Nunn now a little bit.
See, Michael, he's got the strength and size over all of these opponents he's fought lately. Curry and then the Starlings. He's got to go out there and take it to him.
Yeah, that's really against the ropes there. There's a couple landed by Toney as Nunn was doing some talking and didn't cover up.
Shouldn't have shaken his head. He should have come right back and started throwing punches rather than talking.
Sometimes a little jiving can get you in trouble. And Nunn paid for it that time. There's a good right by Toney. Still on the shoulder there, and the right has been there. Body blow blocked by Nunn. We're near the minute mark of round 8.
See, all those tactics that Mike uses against the ropes are good if you're way ahead in the fight and all that. Why he receives a great left hook from Toney. But what he's got to do is he can't play games like that. He's got to go out there and he's got to take these guys seriously. He should be just throwing punches constantly at Toney. Gets hit with another overhand right.
We're heading toward 30 seconds left in round 8. And Toney has done some damage to Nunn here this round. And his corner is telling him to keep it coming. Keep coming at him. And Toney is responding. There's that right again. You just get the feeling one of these times that right is really going to land if Nunn's not careful.
Well, he hasn't been, and it's landed. It just hasn't affected Nunn much. The question is, what will it, the next 4 rounds, what will happen?
5 seconds to go in round 8.
For the last 2 rounds, Toney has won in my book.
And you can just kind of tell by the way the crowd applauds after each round. I think they feel that way too. Kind of a reluctant applause for
Cut your head. Get the heck off of it.
I think they realize that Nunn's in for a fight.
No doubt about it. Getting ready for round 9.
Well, we're going to find out exactly who's in the better shape right now. I got to say this, though. Toney has kept busy. He's been an active fighter for 2.5 years, and that's definitely in his favor right now. Michael, his last fight being October, prior to that April, he has not been an active fighter, which means that he hasn't been in that gym. These are tough rounds right now. As you can see, the last round, it was even up percentage-wise as far as punches being accurately thrown.
Here's that action on the ropes. Toney actually pushes him over. Nunn's hanging over. And while he's talking, Toney got in an uppercut.
Well, right now, Tom, I see Toney coming on those last 2 rounds, but Nunn built up a big early lead. First round I felt was kind of even, and then after that, Nunn kind of took over. But right now, Toney's back into the fight. He's got to win the next few rounds, so to give himself an opportunity to win a decision here.
Yeah, I'd say Nunn a slight leader. And of course, the champion's going to get the benefit of it out. You got to pretty much take the champion out if you're a challenger. There's a slip by Nunn there.
You notice how Nunn uses those ropes, Tom?
Yeah.
Throughout his career, he's always loved to play around on those ropes.
Does he like loose ropes, tight ropes? We say these
well,
ropes?
as you can see, these ropes, these are Michael Nunn ropes. He saw Ali use those ropes against George Foreman, and ever since, Nunn's always liked to stay on those ropes, bend down, and do the things that he did, except for the first time I've ever seen a fighter take advantage of Nunn on those ropes. And that was Toney when Nunn was bouncing around on it. As loose as they are, Toney took advantage of it offensively.
Inside 2 minutes here in round 9. They clinch up.
If those ropes were a little bit tighter, Nunn wouldn't be able to dip down as far, and Toney would be in a better range to hit Nunn when he was on the ropes.
Well, the home ring advantage, you might say. Just like watering that grass before a home plate. Toney again tries to get that right in.
Again, Toney's the busier fighter in this round also.
Oh, there, that one got him. That one got home. He's got Nunn hurt a little bit. Some vicious right left by Toney, and Toney trying to follow up on it. Nunn's clinching. That uppercut shook Nunn's head too. Michael now fighting for survival. And trying to take it right back.
Good left by Nunn.
Well, Toney, Nunn needed a wake-up call. He just got it. Now the crowd getting into it as Nunn responds. Toney comes back with a right. Toney's corner is up. They like the way their fighters going at it.
Well, I think Nunn realized this in the last 30 seconds that he got hit pretty well by Toney, and he better get serious if he wasn't. Now Nunn's been throwing the leather, but Toney's come back.
Long right by Toney, and now Nunn using those ropes again to his advantage as he ducks out of the way of a vicious right by Toney. That would have landed, Nunn would have really been in trouble. They're looking, saw Nunn gaze at the corner a little bit. At this stage of the fight, what's he looking for?
Right now, he better be looking for a hammer because Toney's taking advantage of Nunn looking everywhere else. Toney's hit him with some great shots this round.
This round, clearly.
Nunn is hurt. I'm telling you right now. His legs are wobbly there.
Big round for James Toney. And the crowd now, kind of like a 7th inning stretch, has decided they better get up and get Michael into it. And Nunn, you can just tell the way Toney's corner. Let's listen in.
You're going to have to come down the wall just like that there. And you can put this guy on his back. You can put this guy on the back if you put some punches together like that. See? If you put him on his back, if you put your punches together like you're doing now.
Show this guy.
Well, he put some punches together here. Look at that right. Nunn's head slapping back. The right again. Toney with a barrage of punches. And Nunn trying to come back.
Well, Nunn did come back in that last round, but then Toney came right back, and that's a sign of a kid that wants to win this fight. You know, Toney kind of woke up, and then at the beginning of the round, Nunn put on his offensive spurt, and then Toney came back. Nunn was looking in the corner for some advice. He better keep his mind out in the center of the ring.
I think Michael Nunn doesn't know he's into a fight. Something's wrong. And Toney appearing more confident with each round there. He probably has taken the last 2 rounds. This fight is very close right now.
I've got him taking the last 3 rounds and hurting Nunn in the last round.
Michael Nunn's a champion, and he's got to show what champions are made of right now. The setting is his. Hometown fight, hometown crowd, and James Toney's rode into Dodge and done a pretty good job against the Sheriff so far.
I've never seen this type of look in Nunn's face as far as being inside the ring. He actually realizes that he's in a fight. It's the first time that I can remember ever seeing Nunn in trouble.
You can see it in his eyes just a little bit. Not quite so cocksure. Toney following it up. Trying to get Nunn on the ropes. Michael using that speed. Tom Cornelis and Dan Goosen here with you. Ringside on the Riverside in Davenport, Iowa. There's that right by Toney again. And Nunn just hasn't been able to really defense that when Toney's gotten it in. And his crowd says, keep coming at him.
You know, it's
Toney's
ironic.
had a great game plan, Dan.
Well, the game plan was to stay there during the early rounds with Nunn, and he succeeded in doing that. Now he's throwing a lot more punches. He's a lot more effective, and Nunn's a lot more tired. Because of that, now Toney's a lot more accurate with his punches.
What does how close this fight is? What does this do to Nunn's confidence?
Well, to me, Toney's won the last 3 rounds, but he just gave Nunn a shot to come back into it. I don't think Toney can afford to play around, act like he's playing possum. He should be out there throwing punches, trying to win this championship. He's not going to endear himself to the judges acting that way.
We're inside a minute. Ooh.
Good right counter by Nunn.
Man, I think the stage is set for quite a finish in this one. It'll be a no-holds-barred final 2 rounds. Toney shows no signs of slacking off. And Nunn has to reach down a little bit here and find out what got him to 36-0. Big right by Toney. Nunn doing his best to duck out of the way. Crowd's chanting for Michael. Those lefts just won't go.
Well, the fans haven't had much to cheer about here for their hometown hero, Nunn. They're trying to spur him on right now to get Toney out of there. Well, he just hurt him right there. He just hurt Nunn right there with a good right hand.
And Nunn goes back to that corner, and he's just a little shaky.
I'm telling you right now, just looking in the corner right now at Nunn, he is not there right now physically.
We're running out of rounds. We got to dog this man. We got to go out there and fight him all night the rest of the way. We can't give up nothing else. We need every round.
Now, Mike, you only got 6 minutes, son. Don't be sloppy on me. And don't go reaching. Get these eyes out. And don't go reaching. I don't want you reaching. I want you pop, pop, move over. Move to your right. See, the guy's trying to step on your feet, right? Okay. Let's go. You're too small for this guy. Mouthpiece. I got it. There we go. Pop, pop.
Well, right now Angelo's giving him good advice, but I don't think good advice right now is going to help Nunn. I think what's going to do it is whether or not he's got the energy to stay there with Toney.
All right, round 11. Scheduled to go 12. Both fighters go out for an early clinch. Crowd chanting Michael, but Toney's done a pretty good job of, as they say, taking the crowd a little bit out of it.
This is what happens when you're a champion. Everyone comes gunning for you, and you make an average fighter a championship caliber fighter just because he's fighting you. And this is what's happened to Toney right now. He's up another level, big level up in his career right now, and he's going head to head with the champion.
He's letting it all out, no doubt about it. Tom Pellis, Dan Goosen with you, Davenport, Iowa. Michael Nunn's hometown, and James Toney's doing his best to spoil the party.
With Toney had that look at the beginning of the fight tonight when he was standing there for the introductions, and he was unfazed with everything. He was just going to come out here to do a job, and right now he's done it.
And it's been that right hand that has been Nunn's nemesis. Nunn using the ropes. Toney takes a wild swing, falls into him, and there's vintage Nunn on the ropes. Big right hand by Toney. Just about the time Nunn starts to get a little momentum, that right hand comes crashing and sends him back. Inside, a minute 40 here in round 11.
As a boxing manager, Tom, I never felt safe with any type of decision. That's a combination of a good shot and Nunn going backwards.
A little momentum provided by Toney sent Nunn back against the ropes.
But what I was saying is I never felt comfortable taking any fight on a decision because you never know how another judge was looking at something. And if Toney wants his championship for sure, he better try to knock Nunn down.
Oh, he did it.
Right there.
He came back with a left, and Nunn is down. Michael Nunn.
They better get their corner off,
Nunn.
I'll tell you.
This corner is up. James
Nunn
Toney
he's not going to make it up.
And I don't think
he's
Nunn's going to get up. His crowd trying to get him back. Nunn looking at it, and they're going to let him fight.
I'll tell you, he's
55 seconds to go. Nunn
right
better
now.
be careful. Nunn better be careful.
Oh.
He's down. He's hurt. Will they stop this fight? Toney trying to finish him off. The towel is thrown in.
I'll tell you.
They threw the towel in. James Toney
it's that left hook. They stopped it.
Michael
We've got a
Nunn.
new IBF middleweight champion of the world.
We have a new IBF middleweight champion of the world. James
Amazing,
lights
Tom.
out Toney. Unbelievable. His knockout Michael Nunn in his hometown. Nunn did not know what hit him.
Ladies and gentlemen, the official time, 2 minutes, 14 seconds of the 11th round. Referee stops the bout. The winner by TKO and new IBF middleweight champion of the world, James Toney.
All right, let's talk.
I've got James Toney sitting right here with me in the ring with his new IBF middleweight championship belt. You said you were going to bring it back to Detroit, and you're doing it, or I should say Michigan.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say this is a late birthday for my manager, Jackie Callan, and an early Mother's Day gift for my mother, Sherry Toney, who helped me and supported me so much throughout my young career. And I want to thank everybody back at home at CMI Health and Tennis Club for giving me all the support. And everybody back at Ann Arbor, I'm bringing the belt home, baby.
Got it, baby.
James, baby girl.
And one more, I can't forget my little sweetheart, Elizabeth. Here's that sign, sweetheart. I'm all right.
Baby girl, baby.
All right, let me ask you a couple questions about the fight. First off, James. James, you lost a lot of the early rounds. In fact, most of the early rounds and a few of the middle rounds. Did you ever get discouraged? How did you keep the presence of mind to stay in this fight and to come back as well as you did?
I told you before, early this morning, the crowd don't mean nothing. They can't come and help him win the fight. And so between the rounds, Papa Magic, Bill Miller was telling me, keep it cool, you got to keep the pressure on him. But we lost that round, and I had to get with him. You know, I had to keep the pressure on him, and I knew sooner or later I was wearing him down. And I knew I would get to him sooner or later in that 11th round. Now, I heard him in the 10th round, really, with that left hook and the right hand. And I said, I got this son. I got him now. I got him now. And in the 11th round, I just capitalized on him.
Let me ask you something, James. Was there ever a point in this fight, because you took some great shots, that you got a little wobbly or hurt? I don't know if you were playing possum or if you were really hurt a couple times.
He didn't hurt. This is honest to God truth. Michael Nunn did not hurt me. He quick and everything, but he did not hurt me at all. If you look at the punch, I was slipping every shot he was trying to throw at me. And I was like, you know, yeah, come on, try to sucker him in. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Do you think the new conditioning, the training program that you went through, is that what won you this title?
Yes, that's definitely right. Now, everybody at CMI was great, you know, supported me. I trained hard, and Jackie got me the facilities I need to get in great shape for World Championship fight. And I just knew that once I get him with a good solid shot, he was all mine.
Well, it took you a while, and you did listen to your corner, Bill Miller, who told you, don't give up, you got to stay in this fight, you got to dog him, you got to stay on him, and you did exactly that, and it paid off for you in the end.
Of course, you know, I listen, like I said, the key to the fight is listen to your corner people. And if you listen to them, they can't go wrong.
Bill, let me ask you a question. Let me get you in here, because I know you've worked so darn hard with James Toney. Where do you go from here with James?
James, well, we can't go nowhere but up. It's time for him to get some of the mega bucks.
All right, listen, James, I'm going to let you enjoy your victory. Go ahead, one more thing.
Thanks to Robert Lee, the IBF, for giving me the opportunity to fight for his title. And thanks to Mr. Bob Arum for giving me the opportunity. And thanks again, thank Michael Nunn, because, you know, he didn't have to fight me. He could have fought Reggie Johnson, but he gave me the shot.
That's right. Go enjoy your title. Great victory for all of you. And let me get Michael Nunn in here. Angelo Dundee told you in the corner, he said, Mike, don't get sloppy on me. Is that what happened?
Yeah, that's what happened. Got a little sloppy. Angelo told me to get sloppy. Got a little sloppy, but I'll be back.
Yeah, I bet you will, Mike. What are you going to do? You're going to take a little rest after this right now?
And then come back and fight again. You know, I'm a true champion. I'll come back.
Let me tell you something. I never saw you look sharper. You look great in this fight. You put on a dazzling display of boxing. You surrounded him with a lot of punches. Did he take a great shot from you?
He took a pretty good shot. Yeah, he took some good shots. You know, can't take it from him. He took a great shot.
All right, Michael, listen. All the best to you, and I hope you come back soon and get that title back.
No doubt I will.
All right, take care.